Okay, good morning, everyone. Hopefully our technology is working this morning. On my screen, it says that we're now live streaming on YouTube. So hopefully it's 9:02. So we'll jump into our program today. My name is Mark Shinkarik. I'm the principal here at the Brawley School, and I'm joined by a couple of my friends here. I've got Ann Mottner, who is our PTSO president, and also our media specialist. We call her the media specialist, but she has like 10 jobs at our school, and she's doing a ton of work for us this year with our virtual learning. Mrs. Gillis is joined with us as well. So we're going to start with some PTSO business and then slide into, I have a short presentation that I would like. I think probably the most pertinent thing on most parents' minds right now is this form of instruction that we're using this year, and with our hybrid system with virtual and in-person students, as well as our school districts 2 days in and 3 days out, and how we're navigating that, and some of the kind of bumps that we've encountered along the road and how we're responding to that. So I'm going to do some a short presentation on that piece as well. So at this time, I will turn it over to Ann and let Ann jump into her PTSO business, and I'm going to pull up a couple of those documents that you wanted us to show.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Oh, okay, good. So Mark is, Mr. Shinkarik has got the board. So first of all, thank you all for logging on this slightly weird principal's coffee. Normally we'd be having coffee and maybe some donuts and all sitting in the media center. But we're here now, and I just want to spend a few minutes to let you all know what the PTSO does and how we support our teachers and staff. But we do have some business we have to get through. The first is to vote on our new board, which is posted here now. I do want to bring your attention to some new positions. We have under fundraising, we have Brawley School Road now has offered us a huge marketing and fundraising opportunities. So we have a fence advertising position, and Debbie Mussolino is working on that. Down a little bit, we've got Spirit Wear. Jennifer Christian is working on that, and we're lucky to have her back at the school with her daughter. She is our past PTO president extraordinaire. We have Leslie Johnson, who will be overseeing the athletic boosters, which I'll talk a little bit more about. And then we've combined our new website, which is still under construction, and our media coordinator position with Ashley Wilson. So because we don't know what is happening this year with showcasing, we no longer have that position here. So at this time, I just need to ask if we have a motion to accept this board slate as is. And of course, feedback is a little awkward this year. Hoping I have a motion and a second to approve this. If you do have any questions, there is a chat bar on the YouTube if you have any issues with that. So I will assume that has passed and then move on to the budget. So I will say, if anybody has any questions, please email me at tbsptso@gmail.com. Next is the budget. I just want to give a high-level overview. of what we've done. We had some funds last year in savings. We took that out and spent $23,000 on the collaborative classrooms. And we did do a fundraising campaign to basically pay some of that back. And we thank you for the $5,000 that we raised over the summer. And these funds were used for everything in the collaborative classrooms, all 3 grades. So it was basically, we put everything we possibly could into there. But we do still need to fundraise just to cover the very basics. And we will be running on a skinny budget this year. You know, it is obviously a difficult time for so many, and we are very sensitive to that. So at the same time, we have some very hard costs that I'll go through in a minute with the Phoenix Fund. But as the budget is now, we hope to have a total income of $46,600 with our expenses. On the next page.
I think I only got that one page in. I can pull up another one though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the total expenses are $39,745. So that will give us, if we reach all of our fundraising goals, a profit of $6,855. So we really, you know, it's such a, again, a strange year. We don't have, at this moment, we hope to plan some events, but we didn't have our fall social or Halloween party. You know, we just have to see how things go. So, but what we do want to ensure is that we have some funds to make sure that we're able to give the teachers what they need. So if I can have a motion to approve this budget. And again, I'm going to assume.
Yeah, the first motion passed, and
Jen,
yeah, Ms. Christian accepted the motion, and Ms. Buck seconded it. So you're good there. So we're just waiting on this one. It lags a little bit on the live channel, but hopefully.
Okay, so I'll go and just talk about the Phoenix Fund. So next week on the 21st, we are going to kick off our Phoenix Fund. It's our main fundraising campaign. In middle school, we don't sell the entertainment books. We don't do, you know, wrapping paper on holidays. We have learned that it's just easier for parents just to write a check if they are able. And our goal this year is significantly reduced for obvious reasons. Last year it was 35,000. This year we are hoping to reach 21,000. And these include $10,000 for online subscriptions. We normally budget around 9,000, but we've had more come up, and we do expect maybe there'll be more, just the nature of the virtual learning. So we want to be prepared for that. We have a $6,000. It includes $150 each teacher gets for supplies. And we know that they've had some new costs with the new building. And we want to, they truly appreciate all of that. $3,500 for staff appreciation. We have 4 luncheon events, and we do things throughout the year with that. We use every penny of that, and our teachers truly appreciate it. Then we have $2,000 for just general additional needs in the school. We've had things pop up. We got a call just before school started, and a new TV was needed. So that was $900. So things come up often, and we just want to make sure that if our staff needs it, that, you know, we find a way to make it happen. And we've been able to do that so far just from the generosity of our parents. So it is truly appreciated. So how are we on the budget?
Yes, passed. And PJ, Ms. Sherry said that there was some confusion over the link, so some people might be coming on a little bit late. So
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and we will post this, all these details that I'm going through, we will post it on our new website that should be up next week, and also on social media. And again, if anybody has any questions, email us, right? We want to be transparent and accessible, even in light of this virtual learning that we're doing. So I'll just move on to, I mentioned the fence this year on Brawley School Road. Debbie Mussolino has taken this on, and it is going to be an amazing way for us to generate some fundraising, but also support our local businesses. If any of you all have small businesses that you would like to advertise on the fence, we have a range of sponsorship opportunities, not only on the fence, but in the gym and throughout the school, different types of signage. So if you are interested in any of that, again, you can email us at tbsptso@gmail.com. So next week we should have some signs up from Paquette and Solid Roofing and Limbo Montgomery are a few that have already signed on. So we're very grateful for that. Staff appreciation, I mentioned that we do quite a few things to support our teachers. At the beginning of school, when they had to come and unpack all their boxes the week before school started, we had a box lunch for them. And we've got another one coming up. They have a teacher work day, so we'll provide lunch for them. We are now doing monthly birthday treats. So it was kind of a surprise for, I think we had 6 teachers. We did a summer birthday and just a little treat to let them know we're thinking of them. And we all know certainly that they are working a lot. They already were working hard. Now they're working a lot harder for our students in this hybrid model. As a way to get creative with fundraising, we hope to have more spirit nights. We hope some of you got to Brooklyn Boys and had some pizza last night. We do want to increase these. In the past, we haven't done so many, but we want to support all local businesses. It's also a way for families to get out and safely see maybe some of their friends at restaurants and also support our school. So it seems a win-win. So look out for some of those dates coming up. Spiritware, if you have ordered in the past, I just heard from Jennifer Christian that the Spiritware will be distributed on A-Days next week. And next Wednesday, September 23rd, from 10 to 12, for all virtual students, can do a drive-through and pick up their, so that's on a Wednesday, can pick up their Spiritware in bags, ready to go. Another exciting thing that just happened, we are merging with the athletic boosters. With our group, the PTSO, and so the athletic boosters will be a subcommittee of the PTSO so that we can help support each other and streamline communication and help them grow the athletic program, because there are a lot more opportunities here at the school. So we're super excited about that moving forward. And that is pretty much it on my end. Again, all this information can be found in greater detail on our website. We also have Facebook, Instagram. If you weren't aware, we use that a lot. The kids use Instagram a lot more, so we hope to increase that. And thank you for your time. So Mr. Shakira, I'll pass it back to you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Ann. And I just wanted to thank our PTSO for their support. And I've always, heard that PTSO is, everyone's a member of the PTSO by being a parent here at our school. And so I appreciate everyone's support. Fundraising is extremely difficult, and we know that that's a big component of what a PTSO does for our school. But we've managed to despite the pandemic, we've managed to do some awesome things for our school. And I want parents to know that any of the support that you give through our fundraising efforts is being utilized this year. I think sometimes the misconception is the kids are only here 2 days a week, so they should need half the money, when in reality it's quite the opposite. Our collaborative classrooms that you've donated to help support, those classrooms are starting to be used now. There's still some last minute kind of preparations that we have to do there. We've got some green screens and some podcast capabilities that we're going to add to those rooms, and we've got to kind of dress them up a little bit, but for the most part, they're there and running. We're installing, I think, TVs today in those classrooms. So that's exciting. So know that that's in there. Also, our PTSO supports us through a lot of online programs and subscriptions, and Ann talked about that, but those are obviously this year super important. And then also understand that there are some things that the school purchases and some of the PTSO purchases, but the only reason the school can purchase these things is because the PTSO takes a huge burden off the instructional funds that we have as a school. Like, for example, we are going to be purchasing 2 new online subscriptions as a school. And the reason that we're able to do that is because our PTSO has supported us in other ways. So thank you so much to Ann and her leadership, and that PTSO board's leadership, and this transition to our new building has gone very well, and it's because of their support that we've made that happen. So, all right, I'm going to jump into our other presentation here, and I'm going to hopefully click the right things here. This is what our teachers feel like. There it is. All right, hopefully you can see this screen here. Here we have, I kind of wanted to talk about our instructional model, and I thought we could start back to kind of early August, when this, when shortly after it was communicated to us that we would be doing a Plan B, where students had the option to come in the building. And we had to provide instruction for your students 2 days a week in person if you chose to do that, and then also support students that chose the virtual model, right? So we had to come up with a plan, and I wanted to kind of start there and give you some kind of background information on why it is that we chose the plan that we did. Now, there were several factors at play when we made that decision. The first and foremost, I will say, one of the hardest things to do at our school to make this work is our scheduling constraints that we have. We offer more courses at Brawley than any other middle school in our district. The students have to take 8 classes. So I know that some of you have maybe encountered some, heavy workload, and virtual learning has been really tough for you or for your child, but understand they're taking 8 courses. Had they gone to a traditional middle school, they would only be doing virtual learning for just over half of that. So I think that's part of what you're probably experiencing. And because we're in this hybrid model where they come in 2 days a week and they're out for 3 days a week, and we're already on an A-day, B-day schedule, it then limits the amount of face-to-face instruction we can provide even more. So I think that's first and foremost what was really hard. We're really operating with a high school matrix in terms of scheduling constraints. I mean, when you're offering 5 or 6 different fine arts classes, 3 different foreign language courses, advanced classes in some of our math courses, and kind of making all of that mesh together. That was one factor that played a role in how we came up with our model. The other piece that makes it extremely difficult for us is the face-to-face and virtual students. We have 2 groups of kids. Somebody told me the other day, a teacher said they have the Zoomers and the Roomers, the Zoom kids, and then the kids that are in the room. And then another kid, I think, joked and said, and then they're taught by a boomer. So we have Zoomers, Roomers, and Boomers now. But so those are that is one challenge there. And I will say at our school, as far as middle schools in the district, we have the most number of students that have chose the virtual option, that Plan C, more so than any other school. I know that Woodland Heights has a big group there of virtual students, and that's a bigger school than us, but I will still say they're probably half of what the number of students that we have in virtual. I think we have anywhere from a quarter to a third of our students have chose the virtual option. So that makes it hard to get those two groups aligned and together. We also, the other factor is trying to, the district charged us was trying to do as much synchronous instruction as possible. Knowing that we can't do synchronous instruction all the time, we had to then try to see where could we put synchronous and asynchronous instruction to meet our students' needs best. Synchronous is like live teaching. Asynchronous is when students kind of work on their own without a teacher there live present with them. Synchronous instruction does not just mean in person. You know, if you're zooming into a live class, then that's considered synchronous. All right, and then the other, factor to it, and maybe the most important factor, is deciding what's best for middle schoolers. Factors to consider, of course, is screen time. Is it really best to have a student zooming into a classroom, all day long for 7.5 hours a day, 5 days a week? If teaching and learning was as simple as just logging in and watching somebody teach, we would just stream school on a TV, but it's not that simple. In fact, a lot of research shows that that logging in and doing something in this, because this is not brand new. I mean, they've taught they've taught foreign language in high school courses, and you log in and watch a teacher. I mean, they've done this for probably 20, 30 years. That isn't brand new, but the research doesn't support that it's the most effective way to teach. So that's a component there that we've had to do. Home supervision. Some kids are doing these things, they're 11 and 12 years old, and they're at home by themselves, having to wake up at 8 in the morning and log into a Zoom class, and then hurry up and let the dog out, and then come back at 10 o'clock and zoom into their next class. And they're doing all of that by themselves. And with that, they miss Zooms and things. And if they miss a Zoom or something happens where they're not there, then how are we going to backfill that? And then also the other factor that was extremely important to us, because we had so many students that picked virtual, is to try to allow fluidity between plans. We didn't want, if somebody needs to go virtual because of a quarantine thing or something happens, they don't feel safe at the school, we don't want to add restrictions to them. So we wanted to try to make a plan that was as fluid as possible for students. So those are the factors that I think influenced us the most. So the plan that we came up with, I will admit, is a bit confusing. It's a bit different. We typically think of a learning cycle starting on a Monday and you finish on a Friday. And the reason that we chose not to do it that way is because we had that weird Wednesday day, and how would we use that day best? So the model that we came up with is to start our learning cycle actually on a Wednesday. The Wednesday is a mini lesson that's meant to be done asynchronous, so not live instruction, and it introduces the learning cycle. Now, it's important that activity is done first, because it kind of sets the stage for the in-class lesson as well as the independent work that students are going to do. We estimate that time for that lesson to take 20 to 30 minutes, a maximum of 30 minutes. Now, 30 minutes means 30 minutes of working on that assignment. So if a student gets on there, does something for 15 minutes, then watches TikTok for 15 minutes, and then finishes it up, and then tells you it took me 45 minutes to do this, it's probably either we miscalculated it or your student is off task. And so, and some of that's to be expected. Again, going back to the idea that these kids are, 11, 12 years old, they're going to do those things. And we as adults can't do that the entire time. As some of you might be watching this live YouTube video, some of you might be off task or checking your phone or something else. Kids, of course, are no different, maybe even worse. Now, in-class lesson, the teacher-facilitated lesson, is both Zoom and in-person students go on their days. The front half of the alphabet does this part on Mondays and Tuesdays. The second half of the alphabet does it on Thursdays and Fridays. Those activities should all be done in class. If they don't finish the activity and didn't use their class time wisely, then they might have some activities that kind of fall outside of that class, but most of it should be done within class. And the last piece is the independent work. This is their at-home day, and activities can be done without the in-class lesson. I think that's the most important thing, that our teachers need to be assigning things that are done without having the teacher lesson done. Now, the mini lesson could introduce what they do in independent work, but the in-class lesson cannot, should not influence their independent work. And we estimate that time to be about 60 minutes per class. So when you factor it out, a typical school year, we'd have 2.5 class periods per week on an A-day, B-day schedule with 5 days. That comes out to, they will have their 7th grade science class, 2.5 class periods per week. So one of those class periods is the in-class lesson. The Wednesday, we're calling that the half day. That leaves us one more class period to do. And so that's the independent work day. So it kind of equals out to the same amount of time. Now, there's a model that we use in education all the time called the gradual release model. And you probably had something similar to this when you were in school. It's the I do, we do, you do. I do means the teacher first, I do it, I show them, I introduce something to them. That's the Wednesday mini lesson. The we do it together. We the teacher facilitates it, and the teachers, they have some practice, some guided practice with it. That's kind of that lesson. If you're a front half of the alphabet, it happens on Mondays and Tuesdays. If you're a second half of the alphabet, that happens on Thursdays and Fridays. And the independent work is done the you do. That means the kids do those things independently. And so that sometimes, I think when you list it like that, it might help you understand how that works. Now, I was talking to our staff this morning about it, and I always kind of make references to basketball since that's kind of passion of mine. And it's like, I think we started out the game really well, and we won the tip, and we went down and we scored, and we were leading. And now I think it's time that we call a timeout and see kind of how things are going, right? The opposing team has scored a few times, and we want to try to see, what can we do to help, since we've encountered a few things. I've heard feedback from teachers and parents and students. It seems to be, at this point, kind of anecdotal feedback, but it does seem to be there's some frustration from parents, some confusion on kind of where things are at and how to support their student. Students, some students are being overwhelmed with the workload, and they're having, particularly our 6th grade parents or 6th grade students are having, figuring out Canvas is difficult in any school year, and to do this virtually has been tough for them. And our teachers, some of them have been, some of them are overwhelmed, and they're, we literally started this. We had 5 days, work days to prepare for the school year, and introduce this whole thing and get rocking. So it has been a challenge for them. And so we've kind of put some things in place here, as most recently as this morning, to try to respond to some of the feedback that we've received. I want you to know that we meet with our staff every Wednesday in the mornings, 8 o'clock. We have a standing Wednesday meeting every morning, and we share expectations as a leadership team for our students. And some of the feedback that I've received from parents and students helped influence some of those expectations that we developed. We also share best practices. Teachers share how they're, using their grade book and how they're leveraging Canvas to help support students, or some instructional tools that they're using. And so the teachers kind of share out those best practices during those weekly staff meetings. We're also making some improvements to our Canvas layout. One of the main things is trying to add consistent labeling in Canvas. So I know that a lot of parents have given us feedback to say that those weekly guides that we provide, and we started those last year, 4th 9 weeks when COVID first hit, we need to make sure that we're labeling those things the same. So whatever you see in Canvas is the same that you see on the weekly update, is the same that's listed in the parent portal in their grade book. So when you look up their score, it all looks the same. So we're trying to add add consistency there. We're also working to sync our Canvas with PowerSchool, which means when you log on to and see when you log on and see your students' grades, that it automatically syncs from when students submit things to Canvas. It's very difficult when students email the teacher something or physically turn something in. Most of our teachers this year are only accepting those things in Canvas because it becomes very difficult to manage all of those different avenues that they're working on. Also, we're trying to make our Canvas pages more student friendly. I think sometimes in an effort to try to communicate everything, we overly communicate. And I think, when you're 12 years old and you're trying to go through a Canvas page that has a whole bunch of big words on it, things that really aren't pertinent to you, it becomes difficult for students to kind of navigate through that. And so we're trying to kind of reduce some of that and make those pages as student friendly as possible. Another piece that we're trying to do is streamline due dates. So now what you should see is those your Wednesday work, the students should be working on today are all due at the end of the day today, because in order for them to be prepared for their work tomorrow, they had to have completed their work today. All right, so we've streamlined that due date. The rest of the work will become due on the following Tuesday evening. All right, so then they have time to submit those things. Past that, that work will be determined to be late. Now, we would like to provide grace for our students because we know that this has been very challenging to navigate that. Some classes have multiple assignments that they're trying to do. So we are going to provide some work extensions as far as not holding kids harmless up until their first 9 weeks. So if students submitted late work up until this first, not the first 9 weeks, the first progress report, we're going to hold them harmless. But kind of beyond this week, we'll start holding students accountable for late work. And there are certain grade level policies that you can ask your grade level teachers on how they determine what's late and how that work is determined late. It's hard with this because you want to, at one point, understand that these kids are 11 and 12 years old, but at the other time, know that late work and holding kids accountable ultimately is how we grow them and build these skills that they'll need for high school. We're also working to collect feedback from parents and students. I know the district is looking at doing a survey. I'm not sure if they've sent that survey out already to you. And if not, we'll create our own survey for parents and for students to try to kind of get a sense for what it feels like to be a virtual student or to be a parent helping a virtual student and what that workload looks. It's one thing to think as a teacher to say, this should take 45 minutes, but then learn later that it was more that wasn't what it was. And I've also heard from some parents who say, my kid's bored, they're blasting through this work and they're done by Wednesday, and what the heck do I do for the rest of the week? So we're trying to kind of figure all that out as well. We're also enhancing our technology. The district's looking to add more connectivity in our building, since there seems to be some lagging going on in the building with like Zoom calls. You can imagine it's difficult when you are having multiple kids logging into Zoom, you're streaming that. We use Apple TVs to display whatever's on the teacher laptop up onto the television in the 70-inch TV that's in their classroom. So the district has worked on connectivity in our building here to make sure that we have great Wi-Fi available for our teachers to stream. It's a lot of it requires a lot of memory on a computer and a lot of internet connectivity to make that work. They've also are adding a hotspot outside of our school that'll allow some of our students to go outside, particularly our band chorus students to go outside in a safe area to have class out there. And the hotspot will also be available if students want to come after school hours and don't have connectivity at home. They can set up in a car outside and do their work, access to our building. The other piece that we've done is we've actually purchased iPads for all of our teachers. What's another challenge is to have Zoom and have what you're displaying on your laptop and being kind of tied to that laptop. So we've added iPads for teachers. So what you should see in the next week or so is that the iPad will serve as the webcam for the Zoom, and then also any of the chat and any of those things that come through will all come through the iPad. And then the only other thing that the teacher needs to do is then stream their Canvas page or their slide deck or whatever else is going into the classroom, and that can be done on a separate device. So having two devices to run that, I think will be helpful. And I told you we're very blessed to where we're at, and I don't know that there's another middle or high school in our district that has the resources that we have in terms of technology in classrooms. Every classroom after today will be outfitted with a 70-inch flat screen TV. Teachers all have MacBooks. There's an Apple TV connected to the TV to stream what's on the teacher laptop or what is on a student device up on the TV. And then also an iPad with a stand, and teachers will have lapel mics that hook up to those iPads. So again, it's pretty robust, and there isn't another school in our district that has that type of resources. So those are kind of where we're at as far as responding to this. I will say too that there seems to be a growing idea out there that our governor may move us to phase 3. And there's always a possibility that they expand what we do, what school districts have flexibility doing in terms of plan A, or maybe additional days under plan B. So at this time, we're going to make a few tweaks to what we have currently and stick with our plan for the remainder of the 9 weeks, which is about mid-October or so. By then, I think our governor will probably have made a decision on which phase we'll be in. And then we'll see if our plan is working based on our survey results and some of these other tweaks, and decide then if we want to continue in our model that we've picked for this year, and if we need to make any adjustments from there. So at this time, I am going to turn it over to Ms. Gillis. And again, I told you she wears a lot of hats, and in the beginning of the year, I asked her if she would be our virtual learning liaison. And she was, that's, you always ask teachers to do those things in the beginning of the year when their emotions and anxiety are at a low level. And she immediately jumped on. I'm not sure if I asked her today if she would have agreed to that position. But Ms. Gillis encounters a lot of the questions and things from students and parents. And she's also a parent of a Brawley School student as well. So she gets that side of it. So I was going to have her share some ways on that sheet that you as parents can support your student.
Good morning, everybody. As Mr. Shinkirik said, I do have a kind of an interesting perspective on all of this. I have been a teacher here at Brawley School, and I am a parent, and I'm kind of the virtual liaison and technology liaison for all of this. So I can see multiple points of view of what's going on. And the first thing that I really want to reiterate to everyone is grace. And we kind of said this to our teachers this morning too. Everyone in this model needs to have grace with each other. This is brand new for our teachers. It's brand new for our students and parents. Our teachers are literally having to recreate everything that they do to fit into this model. And so they're spending today working on and creating new units. Even if you've taught the same unit for 10 years, you're having to recreate what you do to fit into this model. So we're asking a lot of grace for our teachers, and we've asked them to extend grace to our parents and students as well. The biggest thing that you can do as a parent is to follow your child's Canvas courses. You can do that as a parent observer. That will allow you to see everything that your student is doing in class. Right now, our teachers are having to put everything on Canvas. So even if you are an in-person student here in the building, you're still accessing everything through Canvas. And so as a parent, that is probably the biggest thing that you can do to help support your child, is become a Canvas observer so that you can see what they're doing. The second piece is the parent portal or Power School. And I tell parents, Canvas is where the curriculum is happening. This is what they're doing in class. Power School is where you see their grades. And so I think there's been some confusion because what you're seeing right now on Canvas as a parent, you're seeing everything that they're doing. And so those little assignments that they would normally do in class that you may not see, like little bell ringers or checks, you're actually seeing that in Canvas right now. And so I've gotten some feedback from parents saying, oh my goodness, they have so much homework. Well, you have to realize not all of that is homework. Some of it is their in-class work. And so you may see 150 assignments for your child on Canvas and think, oh my goodness, this is horrible. Or it may look like they're not submitting assignments. They are. And if they just get a completion grade, you may see that in Canvas and grades as, you know, they haven't submitted anything. So I actually check Canvas for my daughter to see what she is doing. And I check PowerSchool to see what her grades are. Okay. And in Canvas, a lot of parents have said, well, I'm going to the grades and it looks like they have a bunch of missing assignments, or I'm going to calendar and it looks like they're having a bunch of missing assignments. I don't want you to go to either one of those things. If you want to see what your child is doing, go into their course and go into the modules. That's where the meat of everything that is happening in class and at home, that's where it is. And it should be clearly labeled in the module. What is the Wednesday work? What is the independent work? And what is the in-class work? Okay, that's where you're going to see what is happening. If you do not have an Observer account, you can email me and I will send you the link for how to do that. It is also on our website. So I encourage you today to go set those things up. The next thing is to have routines and schedules at home. Wednesday is a big day for our students. They have many lessons in all 8 of their classes. And so I know for my own daughter, I have to call her here in a minute because she's a sleeper and would sleep till 2 o'clock in the afternoon if I let her. But I have to get her up and get her started on that because we found out the hard way, if she sleeps till 2, then she's going to be up till midnight trying to get everything done. So make sure that there are routines set. On the Zoom in days, obviously they have to be up and ready for class. And we do ask that they start logging in at 8:25. So have those routines and schedules set at home. For the independent days, we're kind of doing the same thing at our house. I'm calling her, getting her up and having her go ahead and get started on that. Those independent lessons, I've had a couple of parents ask about those. If you are a Monday, Tuesday in-person student, those independent lessons go live for you on Thursday. And so for all students. And so if you know that, you know, on Monday and Tuesday, you have after school activities or something like that, you can get started on those early. So you don't have to do your independent work on those independent days. If you know that it's a scheduling issue for you at home, my daughter actually figured out she's a Monday, Tuesday in person. So she is actually doing a couple of lessons on Thursday, a couple on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And she spaced it out that way. And she felt more comfortable with that. That is okay. However, you need to separate that work or space out that work for your student to be able to complete it is just fine. You can do that. Inspect what you expect and check in with your child. I am very nosy with my kid. I actually have PowerSchool on my phone. And, you know, if we're sitting somewhere, I check it and I'll say, hey, you know, why do you have a 0 on this? Or, you know, I'll go to her Canvas page. Hey, what'd you do for this assignment? Be nosy right now. It's okay. And they're middle schoolers and they're preteens and teens, and they're going to push back on that. That's all right now. Be nosy, get in those Canvas pages, get in those modules and look and see what they're doing. The biggest thing you can do right now too is reach out to your teachers. A lot of you are emailing me, and that is fine to do as well. But also reach out to the teachers. If you're doing Wednesday work and you find, oh my goodness, my child is up till, you know, 1 in the morning trying to finish this work, reach out to those teachers and let them know. It's also a good practice, especially if your child is in 7th and 8th grade, for them to reach out to their teachers. Our teachers want to hear from them. If they know that they're going to be late on an assignment or they're struggling with something, please have them reach out. And I'm telling the students, you need to reach out before 11:30 on Tuesday night when that assignment's about to be due. Reach out early and ask for help. And I'm always here. I'm here for any virtual learning questions. I'm here for technology questions. If you have any needs, you can reach out to me. I'm kind of the first stop for a lot of you, and then I can direct you where you need to go.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Gillis, for that. I'm going to go back through the chat here on YouTube to kind of get some questions here. And Ms. Gillis, maybe you can help answer this one. Would you recommend reviewing Canvas first versus PowerSchool because of the lag between syncing of information?
Yes, I would get that weekly guide. And I did want to, some of you have asked if that weekly guide can come out earlier. Our teachers are required to have their mini lessons up by Wednesday morning. Most of them are doing that on Tuesday, but they are actually working. They're actively working here in the building today to finish up those individual and in-class lessons. So as soon as they are finished on Wednesday, I send out that weekly guide. So we really can't send it out any earlier Wednesday because our teachers need that work time to be able to finish that. And so I tell students and tell parents, have that weekly guide up and then go to Canvas and go into the module for that class. And I'm telling students, use that weekly guide like a checklist. And I'm also telling them to do one class at a time. I just pulled a student the other day and he had about 50 tabs open across the top of his page because he was just going through different courses and picking assignments to do. And it was very confusing. So I'm telling them follow one class at a time, look on the weekly guide, and then go to Canvas and go into the module. So I would check there first.
Okay. I think one of the things that we've heard from parents too, and there's a couple of parents that have mentioned this in the chat, is that if you're a front half of the alphabet kid, then you do the lesson on mini lesson on Wednesday. You do your independent work on Thursday, Friday, and then you get your teacher-led work on Monday, Tuesday, which then leaves you without a weekend to complete and finish your work. And the perception for many is that that might be a disadvantage for students. And we've heard that feedback. So first, I'd like to say that we recognize that and that's been challenging for many of our students. That was part of our discussion today in our staff meeting. And hopefully we're implementing some changes and making some tweaks here that doesn't put students at a disadvantage. Quite frankly, we had to split up the alphabet and we had to make some changes, and we've tried to make it as equitable for all of our students. We didn't want an advantage to be for virtual students or an advantage to be for in-person students, nor do we want an advantage depending on what your last name is. So don't go to the Social Security office and change your name or anything like that. But we need to make some adjustments. So one of the things that we're implementing is trying to streamline and be consistent on what the workload looks like for independent work. And then, one of the things that I told teachers today is that the in-person assignments that they do shouldn't have homework attached to them. Because if it's due on Tuesday and you're a front half of the alphabet kid and your B-Day classes on yesterday's B-Day classes, if there was homework attached to that, then they would have, only that evening to do that. And we don't think that that's fair for kids. So, that was the expectation that I laid out for teachers, is to try, there might be times where students don't utilize their time in class, that some of that stuff spills over. But, if your entire class is finishing that work within the class period, and there might just be a one or two that are not, then that's probably a good gauge as a teacher that was an appropriate amount of work. So that is another piece that we're trying to implement there. Also wanted to make sure that our independent work that they're doing is not related to the teacher-led teacher in-person class as well too. So we hear that feedback and we're trying to make some adjustments to make sure that that you're not at a disadvantage there. So give that some time there and see if you're seeing improvements in that. If you're not seeing improvements like that, I would recommend you reach out to the teacher that seems to be missing the mark on that and where you're encountering some difficulties, and reach out to the teacher and let them know that, give them that feedback so they can make changes. And of course, if you don't feel like changes are being made or you need additional help, then I'm of course here available to support you in those things as well. But going back to that first point, just remember grace as you're emailing parents. I know sometimes you're frustrated and this is difficult. Just have grace. We're trying the absolute best we can with the circumstances we have in front of us, and we may miss the mark. This is brand new for us, so we want to provide grace to you, and we want to have that reciprocated. One question here, is there an existing parent remote learning feedback group? School leadership is working through great plans would help expedite success if we can pull feedback, prioritize, and improve. I believe, and I'm still, I had heard yesterday that the district, I wasn't aware of this, that they were creating a survey for parents. I'm not sure if you received a survey from the district level. If it's not being done for our parents through the district, we're going to be providing a survey to our parents. We're also going to survey our students as well to try to capture some feedback on what's working and what's not working, and then use that to influence how we respond as well. But we don't have a group per se, and that's something that we can consider. And Ms. Gillis, we can look at that maybe in leadership about doing something like that to help with some of this. I know we have a school improvement team that meets monthly, and some of these items will be presented to that school improvement team. The school improvement team is composed of kind of different leaders in our building, teacher leaders as well. And then we also have 2 or 3 parents that join us and kind of give us perspective on that. And they meet monthly. We have our next meeting, I believe, on the 30th of this month. And so we'll hopefully have some survey data available to us by then. And we can, we're looking to kind of disaggregate the data and look at kind of by grade level what the experience has been like. What's the experience been like for virtual versus in-person students, and what the experience has been like for front half of the alphabet versus the back half of the alphabet, and then make some decisions and some changes based on that. Sounds like the survey went out last week. We'll try to find a link to that survey and send that back out to you if you haven't done the survey, so that we have a good representation of those results. Okay. All right. Well, that is really it. That's our program. We got about close to 50 people that logged in today. This presentation will be posted on our website and our Facebook page too. So if you didn't have an opportunity to join us today, we'll have that posted so parents can see that. Or if you missed part of the presentation today, you can log back on and see those pieces. I'd say, and 50 people is pretty good. When we do a coffee normally in the media center, we don't have 50 parents. So either they had a lot of questions and this was pertinent information, or it's a lot more accessible doing it this way. So we'll have to decide that kind of moving forward. You always have to look at silver linings and things. And I know that our teachers have become better, digital teachers through this pandemic. And when we get kids back in the building, I think, that this will only help us and kind of expand our toolbox that we have as educators. And so we look at silver linings here at the Brawley School, and there are a couple. So, but in closing, I just want to thank you for your patience and understanding as we come through a very difficult time. I told our teachers when we started the school year, this will be the most difficult school year in your teaching career. And that certainly has been the case. I think our teachers are doing an incredible job every day. And I know sometimes you're frustrated as parents, and you've probably had some bumps along the way, but I can assure you that our teachers here are giving their absolute best, doing the best they know with what they have, and will continue to improve and ensure that we're providing the best education for your kids. My email is mshinkarik@iss.nc.us. You can always email me with any questions you might have, and I look forward to hearing from you. So at this time, we'll end our presentation, and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see some of your kids tomorrow. Have a good day.